Allow me to tell you a story. Some stories are born from imagination. Others feel so real that, even years later, people still argue about what truly happened. Whether this story is fact or fiction, I'll leave that for you to decide. All I ask is that you stay with me until the very end. Look at that little girl. Romang smiled as he pointed toward a child chasing butterflies through the park. She couldn't have been older than 4. Golden curls danced in the wind, and her laughter echoed across the playground. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. I looked at him, hope filling my heart once again. Have you changed your mind? My voice was barely a whisper. His smile disappeared. No, just one word. Cold, final. I told you years ago. I already have 2 children. I'm too old to start over. I'll probably become a grandfather before long. His words landed like stones inside my chest. I'd heard them countless times, but somehow, they still hurt. I lowered my eyes. 12 years. We had spent 12 years together. He had given me a beautiful home, a successful business, luxury I had never dreamed of, safety, respect, a future, everything. Except the one thing my heart wanted most. A child. His child. My eyes drifted back to the little girl. She laughed, ran into her father's arms, and wrapped her tiny hands around his neck. Something inside me broke. Romang's phone suddenly rang. He answered immediately. His face grew serious. I have to go. Problems at work. I nodded. Go. He looked at me for a second, almost as if he wanted to say something more. Instead, he simply turned away. I watched him walk toward his black luxury car, start the engine, and disappear down the road. I didn't stop him. Deep inside, I already knew. Our story was slowly coming to an end. I stayed on that park bench. Long after Romang had left, children laughed, parents smiled, life moved on, as if nothing had happened. But inside me, everything felt different. I was 32 years old enough to know exactly what I wanted. And for the first time, I realized I would probably never have it. A family, a child, my own little miracle. I finally stood up, walked to my car, and drove home. The engine purred softly beneath me. Romang had bought me that car, just like he had bought almost everything else in my life. When I pulled into the driveway, the large modern house stood quietly beneath the afternoon sun. It was beautiful, 3 stories tall, elegant, peaceful, mine. Or at least, it had become mine because of him. Inside, everything was perfect. A designer kitchen, expensive furniture, large windows overlooking the garden, a swimming pool, a private sauna, luxury everywhere I looked. Every room reminded me of Roman.com. Every wall, every piece of furniture, every corner. He had rebuilt my life. One gift at a time. I slowly walked upstairs, into the bedroom we shared whenever he stayed with me. I sat on the edge of the bed. The silence felt heavier than ever before. For 12 years, I had believed love was enough. Now, I wasn't so sure anymore. I lay back, closed my eyes, and let the memories pull me into the past, back to the girl I used to be. I wasn't always the woman I am today. Once, I was completely lost. As a teenager, I believed freedom meant doing whatever I wanted. I stopped caring about school. Classes became optional. Parties became my routine. Instead of studying, I chased attention. I confused desire with love. And every time someone showed me even a little kindness, I mistook it for something real. By the time I turned 20, my reputation had spread through the entire town. Girls avoided me. They didn't want people talking about them. Men, they saw me differently. Not as a person, not as someone worth knowing, just someone easy to use. Back then, I didn't care. Or at least, I told myself I didn't. I lived from one day to the next. Sometimes, I barely had enough money to eat. Other times, I accepted attention simply because I couldn't stand being alone. My parents had tried to help me for years. Nothing worked. Eventually, they gave up. Every visit home ended the same way. Silence, disappointment, shame. Looking back now, I realized they weren't ashamed because they hated me. They were ashamed because they no longer knew how to reach me. But I was too stubborn to see that. I believed the whole world was against me, so I pushed everyone away. Before they could leave me first, I had no dreams, no plans, no future, until one ordinary afternoon. I walked into Romang's office. Neither of us knew it then. But that meeting was about to change my life forever. I had been hired to do a small job for his company. Nothing special, just another ordinary day. Or so I thought. When I finished, Romang handed me an envelope with my payment. But instead of letting me leave, he simply looked at me. Not at my body, not at my clothes, at me. "What is it?" I finally asked. He smiled. "I'm just wondering how someone so beautiful can look so unhappy." I froze. No man had ever said anything like that to me. Most men noticed my appearance. Romang noticed my sadness. "I've heard the stories about you," he said gently. "I know what people say." I looked away. "I don't care what people think." He shook his head. "I think you do. You've just become very good at pretending you don't." His words hit me harder than I wanted to admit. For the first time in years, I felt exposed, not judged, seen. "I have a daughter," he continued, "and I hope, if she ever loses her way, someone will see the good in her before it's too late." I didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken to me with kindness instead of pity. He reached for his wallet again, then stopped. "I'd like to invite you to dinner." Nothing more. "I just think everyone deserves someone willing to listen." I almost laughed. "You feel sorry for me?" "No. I respect you. I think there's a good woman hiding behind all those walls." I stared at him. He didn't look away. For the first time in years, someone wasn't trying to change me. He was simply offering me a seat across the table. And somehow, that felt far more dangerous than falling in love. I almost said no. Not because I didn't want to go, because I didn't believe someone like Romang could actually mean what he said. Men had invited me to dinner before. They always expected something in return. Romang felt different. "I'll meet you downtown. 8 o'clock. He smiled. "I'll be there." The next evening, I stood outside the restaurant. I wore the nicest clothes I owned. They still weren't very nice. A simple pair of jeans, a white blouse, nothing glamorous, nothing expensive. When Romang stepped out of his car, he smiled as if I were the most beautiful woman in the world. "You look wonderful." I laughed nervously. "I don't." "You do." He opened the restaurant door for me, like a gentleman. Not because anyone was watching, because that's who he was. Dinner was unlike anything I had ever experienced. He never flirted, never touched me, never made me uncomfortable. Instead, he asked questions about my childhood, my parents, school, my dreams. Dreams. I almost laughed at the word. "I don't have any." He looked surprised. "Everyone has dreams." "Maybe." I forgot mine. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said something I would never forget. "Your past explains you. It doesn't define you." I stared at him. No one had ever spoken those words to me. He continued softly. "People make mistakes, especially when they're young. But one mistake should never become a life sentence." For the first time, I believed maybe my story wasn't over. Maybe someone still believed I could become someone better. And somehow, that someone believed in me before I believed in myself. When dinner was over, Romang drove me back home. The entire ride was peaceful. No awkward silence, no uncomfortable moments. Just two people getting to know each other. When we arrived, he parked the car. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he turned toward me. "I had a wonderful evening." So did I. He smiled. I'd like to see you again. If you'd like that. I looked at him carefully. I knew what usually came next. A kiss. An invitation inside. A hand reaching for mine. Instead, he simply waited. He wasn't asking for anything. Not even a kiss. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time? I nodded. I'd like that. He smiled once more, then opened my door. Just like before, like a true gentleman, I stepped out of the car. He waited until I reached my apartment building. Only then did he drive away. I stood there, watching his taillights disappear into the night. For the first time in years, I didn't feel used. I felt respected. The days turned into weeks. Weeks became months. We had dinner together, walked through parks, drank coffee, talked for hours. He never rushed me, never pressured me, never crossed a line. Slowly, my life began to change. I stopped going to parties. I stopped chasing people who never truly cared about me. Instead, I started reading again. I enrolled in evening classes. I found a better apartment. Roman quietly paid the rent for an entire year. I argued with him. You don't have to do this. I know. I want to. You deserve a chance. No one had ever said those words to me before, and little by little, I became someone I had never believed I could be. One evening, Roman came to my apartment, looking more nervous than I had ever seen him. He stood by the window, running his hand through his hair. Something was wrong. What happened? I asked. He took a deep breath. Marcella, I need to tell you something. I felt my heart race. I've fallen in love with you. I smiled. I already know. He shook his head. No. You don't. He looked down at the floor. I never wanted this to happen. I told myself I would only help you. I would never let my feelings get involved. But I failed. He finally looked into my eyes. I love you. The room fell silent. Those 3 words meant more to me than everything he had ever bought. I slowly walked toward him. I love you too. I think I've loved you for a long time. A tear rolled down his cheek. I have to be honest with you. I will never leave my wife. I won't destroy my family. My children deserve better than that. My wife and I haven't been husband and wife for years. We live separate lives, but we'll always remain a family. I need you to understand that. Before this goes any further, I didn't interrupt him. I already knew, deep inside. I had accepted it months ago. I don't want your marriage. I don't want your money. I just want you. He gently took my hand. If we do this, it has to be because we love each other, not because you feel you owe me. I stepped closer. I don't owe you anything. I choose you. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing love. He wrapped his arms around me. And that night, for the very first time, I understood the difference between being desired and being truly loved. From that day on, everything changed. Not overnight, not like in the movies. Slowly, one small step at a time. Roman never tried to control me. He encouraged me. He believed in me. Even on the days when I didn't believe in myself. One afternoon, he placed a brochure on the table. What is this? I asked. A school. I looked at him in confusion. You should finish your education. I laughed. Roman, I'm too old. No, you're too young to give up on yourself. I stared at the brochure. I don't think I can do it. He smiled. I know you can. I've never been wrong about you. His confidence became my confidence. A few weeks later, I enrolled. It wasn't easy. Many evenings, I wanted to quit. I was surrounded by younger students. Sometimes, I felt embarrassed. Sometimes, I felt completely out of place. Whenever I doubted myself, Roman reminded me why I had started. Your future is worth fighting for. Those words carried me through every difficult day. Months passed, then years. Little by little, I became a different woman. The parties disappeared. The empty relationships disappeared. The fear disappeared. For the first time in my life, I had goals, I had dignity, I had peace. When I finally graduated, Ramang surprised me. I have something to show you. He drove me outside the city, to a quiet piece of land. I looked around. There was nothing there, just open space. What is this? He smiled. It's yours. I blinked. My... What? Your land. And soon. Your home. I couldn't speak. He handed me a folder. Inside were architectural plans. A house. He nodded. You earned it. Tears filled my eyes. No. I could never deserve something like this. He gently wiped a tear from my cheek. Yes, you do. The greatest reward for me is seeing you become the woman I always knew you could be. At that moment, I realized something. Ramang hadn't just changed my life. He had given me a future. Watching the house being built became my greatest joy. Every wall, every window, every brick felt like another piece of the life Ramang had given me. He visited the construction site whenever he could. Sometimes we spent hours talking about paint colors, flooring, and furniture. He wanted every detail to be exactly the way I imagined it. When the house was finally finished, I stood in the doorway, unable to hold back my tears. It feels like a dream, I whispered. Ramang smiled. No, you earned this. He handed me the keys. They're yours. I threw my arms around him. Thank you. I'll never be able to repay you. He gently kissed my forehead. You already have. You made me happy. For a long time. That was enough. I opened my own business. It grew faster than either of us expected. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just surviving. I was building something of my own. Years passed. Our love remained strong. But one dream never disappeared. One quiet evening, we sat together on the terrace. Children were playing somewhere nearby. Their laughter drifted through the warm summer air. Without thinking, I smiled. I wonder what our child would look like. Ramang became completely still. He slowly put down his coffee. Marcella, we've talked about this. I know. I can't stop dreaming. He reached for my hand. I love you, but I won't change my mind. I already have children. They need me. I won't become a father again. His voice was calm, gentle, but final. I nodded. Even though my heart was breaking, for the first time, I realized something painful. Love doesn't always mean wanting the same future. Sometimes, two people love each other deeply, and still, their dreams lead in different directions. And maybe ours were beginning to do exactly that. After that conversation, something changed between us. Not all at once. Little by little, neither of us mentioned children again. We didn't argue. We didn't blame each other. We simply stopped talking about the future. Ramang buried himself in work. I focused on my business. Life went on. Outwardly, everything looked exactly the same. But inside, we both knew something was fading. One afternoon, we were sitting in the park. A little girl ran past us, laughing as she chased a colorful balloon. Ramang smiled. Look at her. I turned toward the child. My heart skipped a beat. For one impossible second, I allowed myself to hope. Have you changed your mind? His smile disappeared. No, I told you from the beginning. I'll never have another child. I won't make promises I can't keep. His honesty was both the reason I loved him and the reason my heart ached. A few moments later, his phone rang. He answered. His expression changed immediately. I have to go. There are problems at the factory. I nodded. It's okay. He kissed my forehead, just as he had done hundreds of times before. Then he walked away. I watched him drive off. This time, I didn't cry. Instead, I finally admitted the truth to myself. I still loved him, more than ever, but love couldn't give me the one thing my heart longed for most, and for the first time, I wondered whether loving someone could also mean letting them go. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of dogs barking. I smiled. Romang was standing outside, coffee in one hand, his car keys in the other. He looked at me, and I knew he hadn't come to stay. He had come to say goodbye. We need to talk. I nodded. I know. We sat together on the terrace. Neither of us spoke for several minutes. Finally, Romang reached for my hand. Marcella, I think it's time. I closed my eyes. I had known this moment would come. Still, nothing could prepare me for hearing the words. You deserve more than I can give you. I've given you a home, a career, a future, but I can't give you the family you dream about. Tears filled my eyes. I never wanted anything else except you. He smiled sadly. And that's exactly why I have to let you go. If you stay with me, one day you'll wake up and realize you sacrificed your biggest dream. I couldn't live with that. I shook my head. I chose this. You never lied to me. You told me from the very beginning. I know. He gently wiped away my tears. But love isn't keeping someone beside you when you know they deserve more. His voice cracked. I love you too much to be the reason you never become a mother. I couldn't stop crying. Neither could he. After 12 years, there was nothing left to argue about. No betrayal, no lies, no anger. Only two people who loved each other enough to say goodbye. That evening, he stayed with me one last time. We talked for hours. We laughed. We remembered where it had all begun. And when the sun rose, we already knew it was the end of our love story, but not the end of the love itself. The next morning, Romang quietly finished his coffee. Neither of us spoke very much. There was nothing left to say. Everything important had already been said. He stood up, walked toward the front door, then stopped. He turned back to me. I have one last thing to ask. I looked into his tired eyes. Promise me, you'll be happy. I smiled through my tears. I'll try. He shook his head. No, don't try. Promise me. I nodded slowly. I promise. He walked toward me, kissed my forehead, just as he had on the very first night we fell in love. Then, he was gone. I stood at the window, watching his car disappear down the road. This time, I didn't run after him. Some love stories aren't meant to last forever. They're meant to change us forever. Months passed. The silence inside the house slowly became easier to bear. My business continued to grow. For the first time in my life, everything I owned was truly mine, not because someone gave it to me, because someone believed I could build a future. One afternoon, I caught myself smiling, not because I had forgotten Romang. I never would, but because I finally understood what he had given me. He didn't just rescue a broken young woman. He gave her dignity, confidence, purpose, a second chance, and perhaps the greatest proof of his love wasn't everything he gave me. It was everything he refused to take away. He refused to steal my future. He refused to let me sacrifice my dream of becoming a mother just to stay beside him. That wasn't selfishness. That was love. Real love. Years later, I still think about him, sometimes with tears, more often with gratitude. He gave me a home, a career, a life I never believed I deserved. He gave me everything, except the one thing he knew he could never honestly promise. And somehow, I finally understood. Love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes, it's about letting go, so the person you love can finally have the life they deserve. Before we say goodbye, what would you have done? If you were Marcella, would you have stayed with Romang, even knowing you would never have the child you dreamed of? Or would you have walked away to follow your own future? Do you think Romang made the right decision? Or should he have fought to keep their love alive? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd truly love to hear your opinion. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like and subscribe for more emotional stories about love, family, sacrifice, fate, and second chances. Until next time, remember this: sometimes the greatest act of love isn't holding on, it's letting go, so someone you love can live the life they were meant to have. Take care, and I'll see you in the next story.